2,000 years before humanity touched the stars, an old woman stood before the rulers of 400 worlds. Her name was Grandmother Ceres, and her people were dying. The Valorians had watched the universe for 10,000 years. They had seen empires rise and fall. They had seen species burn themselves to ash. And now, in their final days, they had come to deliver one last gift to the galaxy. A warning. The Galactic Council chamber stretched for miles in every direction. Representatives from every known species filled the curved seats that rose toward the distant ceiling. Some were massive creatures of stone and fire. Others were small beings of light that flickered like candles. The Dominari reptilians sat in their section, already bored. The gentle Kethrians huddled together, their insect wings folded tight against their backs. Grandmother Ceres was small. Her skin was gray and thin like old paper. Her eyes held the weight of centuries. In her hands, she carried a crystal sphere that glowed with soft blue light. "Thank you for seeing me," she said. Her voice was quiet, but the chamber's technology carried it to every ear. "I know you think my people are foolish dreamers. We have always preferred watching to fighting, but what we have seen demands that I speak." The council speaker, a being of living metal named Torvak, leaned forward. "The Valorians are welcome here. What warning do you bring?" Grandmother Ceres lifted the crystal sphere. Images appeared in the air above her. A small blue planet, third from an unremarkable yellow star. "Earth," she said, "and the creatures who live there, humans." Laughter rippled through the chamber. The Dominari ambassador, a scarred warrior named Krath, stood up. "This is your great warning? Those soft little animals, they have not even left their own atmosphere. They die from rain, they bleed from paper cuts. What threat could they possibly pose?" "They are fragile," Grandmother Ceres agreed. "Their planet is poison. Their sun burns them. Their own bodies attack them with disease. Everything about their world tries to kill them." She paused. "And yet they survive. Not just survive, they thrive. Do you know why?" The images changed. Humans hunting together in ancient forests. Humans building shelters from mud and sticks. Humans walking across frozen wastelands that should have killed them. "They work together," Grandmother Ceres said. "When one falls, the others carry them. When one is hurt, they all stop to help. They share their food, they share their warmth, they share their strength." More images. Humans domesticating wolves, creatures that should have eaten them. Humans riding horses, animals 10 times their size. Humans turning enemies into family. "They do not conquer through power," the old woman continued. "They conquer through love, and that is what makes them dangerous." The Dominari laughed again. "Love? You came here to warn us about love." "I came to warn you about what happens when you threaten someone a human loves." The final image appeared. A human female holding a dead infant. Her face was twisted with grief, but her eyes held something else, something cold and hard and patient. "This female lost her child to a predator," Grandmother Ceres said. "She tracked that predator for 40 days across impossible terrain. She did not eat. She barely slept. When she found it, she killed it with her bare hands. Then she killed its entire pack. Then she burned their den to ash." The chamber was silent now. "That is one human, one mother, one loss." Grandmother Ceres let the image fade. "Now imagine millions of them, billions. Imagine what they will do when they reach the stars and find creatures hurting the innocent. Imagine what they will do when they adopt this galaxy as their family." Krath snorted. "Pretty stories, they are primitives. By the time they leave their planet, we will all be dust." "Perhaps," Grandmother Ceres said, "but dust remembers. These records will survive. And when humans come, they will find this warning. They will know that someone understood them, someone saw what they truly were." She looked around the chamber one final time. "Do not fear their weapons, they have none. Do not fear their ships, they cannot build them yet. Fear their hearts. Fear their stubborn refusal to accept cruelty. Fear what they will do for strangers they have never met, simply because those strangers are suffering." She bowed her head. "The Valorians are dying. We will not see the future we have predicted, but you will. And when humans come, remember my words, they are not monsters, they are something far more dangerous. They are protectors. The council voted to file the warning away. The Dominari called it foolish nonsense. The other species forgot about it within a generation. The Valorians disappeared from history. And on a small blue planet, humans looked up at the stars and dreamed of touching them. They did not know that the galaxy was waiting for them. They did not know that a dying old woman had tried to prepare the universe for their arrival. They only knew that the stars were beautiful, and that somewhere out there, someone might need their help. It would take 2,000 years. But they were coming, and nothing would ever be the same. The child was eating dirt. Annie Webb noticed it immediately when she stepped off the transport shuttle. A small Kethrian girl, her insect wings crumpled against her thin back, sat in the shadow of a broken mining machine. She was pushing handfuls of gray soil into her mouth. Annie had seen starvation before. She had worked in refugee camps on 3 different human colonies. But something about this small creature, eating dirt because there was nothing else, made her chest hurt in a way she could not explain. She was supposed to be here for trade negotiations. The Kethrian mining colony produced rare minerals that human manufacturers needed. Simple business. Shake hands, sign papers, go home. But Annie had never been good at ignoring suffering. She walked over to the child and knelt down. The girl looked up with compound eyes that reflected Annie's face 100 times. She was afraid. Of course she was afraid. Humans were strange creatures to her. Soft skin, flat faces, only 2 eyes. Annie reached into her bag and pulled out a nutrition bar. She broke it in half and held 1 piece out to the child. The girl took it. She ate it so fast that Annie worried she would choke. Then she looked at the other half in Annie's hand. "Go ahead," Annie said softly. The child ate that too. Later, Annie sat in the council chamber with the Kethrian elders. They were polite. They were professional. They never mentioned that their people were starving. It took Annie 2 hours of careful questions to understand the truth. The Dominari. The reptilian empire controlled this sector of space. They demanded protection fees from every colony. Pay the fee and Dominari warships would defend you from pirates and raiders. Refuse and the Dominari themselves would become your worst nightmare. The Kethrians had paid for generations, but 6 months ago the fees tripled. The Dominari commander in this sector, a brutal officer named Grath, had decided that the Kethrians could afford more. When they could not pay, he took their food instead. "Why not report this to the Galactic Council?" Annie asked. The eldest Kethrian, a female named Mother Vess, made a sound that might have been a laugh. "The Council does nothing. The Dominari have too many allies, too much power. We filed 17 complaints. Nothing changed. We stopped filing." "What about other species? Surely someone would help." "No one helps," Mother Vess said. "That is not how the galaxy works. Everyone protects themselves. No one protects strangers." Annie thought about the child eating dirt. She thought about the nutrition bars in her bag. She thought about the cargo hold of her shuttle, filled with trade goods worth more money than this colony would see in a decade. "I would like to extend my stay," she said, "if that is acceptable." Mother Vess studied her with ancient eyes. "Why would you do that?" Annie did not have a good answer. She only knew that leaving felt impossible. 3 days later, Grath arrived. His ship descended through the colony's thin atmosphere like a falling blade. Annie watched it land from the window of her small room. She counted 20 soldiers marching down the boarding ramp. They carried weapons designed to cause pain, not quick death. She walked to the central square where the Kethrians were gathering. The elders stood at the front, their wings trembling. Behind them, hundreds of workers and families huddled together. Children pressed against their parents. Grath was enormous. His scales were dark green, almost black, and a long scar ran across his face. He looked at the gathered Kethrians like a farmer looking at livestock. "Payment is due," he announced. "You are 3 months behind." Mother Vess stepped forward. "Commander, we cannot pay. We have given everything. Our people are starving. If you take more, we will die." Grath smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "Then I will take workers instead, 50 of your strongest. They will serve in the labor camps until your debt is cleared." A cry went up from the crowd. Families clutched each other. Some tried to run. Dominary soldiers blocked every exit. Annie pushed through the crowd until she stood between Grath and the Kethrians. She was small compared to him. Her head barely reached his chest. She carried no weapons. Grath looked down at her with amusement. "What is this, a human?" "My name is Annie Webb. I am a diplomatic representative of the Human Coalition. I am filing a formal complaint with the Galactic Council about your actions here, and I am asking you once to leave these people alone." Grath laughed. The sound echoed off the buildings. His soldiers laughed with him. Then he hit her. It was a casual blow, almost lazy, but it sent Annie spinning to the ground. Blood filled her mouth, her vision blurred. She heard the Kethrians cry out. She heard Grath ordering his soldiers to begin selecting workers. She got up. Grath's laughter died. He stared at her with something like confusion. "That was your one warning," Annie said. Blood dripped from her split lip. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "Remember that I gave you a chance." He laughed again, but it sounded different now, uncertain. Annie stepped back. She let the soldiers take the workers. She let Grath leave with his prizes. But that night, alone in her room, she sent a message. Not to the Galactic Council, not to her government. She sent it to every human ship within 100 light years. The message was simple. It contained her location, a description of what she had witnessed, and 3 words at the end. "They need us." Within hours, the first responses began arriving. Humanity was coming. 12-year-old Kenji Tanaka had never seen his father cry. David Tanaka was the kind of man who fixed problems instead of feeling them. When their colony on New Osaka lost half its crops to a fungal plague, David organized the recovery. When raiders attacked their shipping lanes, David built the defense network. He was steady. He was calm. He was the rock that everyone else leaned on. But tonight, in the mess hall of the colony ship Endurance, David stood before 2,000 settlers with tears running down his face. Kenji watched from the back of the crowd, standing next to his mother. She had one hand on his shoulder, and he could feel her fingers trembling. On the main screen, images played. Kenji saw creatures he did not recognize, insect people with delicate wings, children with strange eyes. They were thin, they were scared. Some of them were eating dirt. Then he saw the woman. She was human. She stood in front of a massive reptilian soldier. She was tiny compared to him. She was saying something, but there was no sound. The reptilian hit her. She fell. She got up. The image froze on her face, blood on her chin, fire in her eyes. "Her name is Annie Webb," David said, his voice cracked. "She is a trade diplomat. She was supposed to negotiate mineral rights. Instead, she found this." More images, soldiers taking workers away in chains, families being torn apart, a mother clutching an empty basket where food used to be. "The Galactic Council will not help these people," David continued. "They have filed 17 complaints. Nothing has changed. The Dominari Empire is too powerful. No one will stand against them." He paused. The mess hall was completely silent. "We are not a warship. We carry no weapons. We are farmers, teachers, builders, doctors. We are ordinary people going to build a new home on a new world." David looked out at the crowd. 2,000 faces looked back at him. "I cannot order you to change course. This is not a military vessel. You have families, children, dreams of the life waiting for you at our destination." He took a deep breath. "But I am asking, not as your captain. As a human being, those people are dying. Those children are starving. And if we do nothing, if we sail past them to our comfortable new life, we will have to live with that knowledge forever." Kenji felt his mother's hand tighten on his shoulder. "I am calling for a vote," David said. "We can continue to our colony world. No one will blame us. No one will know. Or we can change course for Kethris 4. We can bring food, medicine, supplies. We can stand between those people and the monsters hurting them." He smiled sadly. "We cannot fight, but we can show up. Sometimes that is enough." The vote took 4 minutes. It was unanimous. Kenji watched as the navigation display changed. Their new course appeared as a bright line cutting across the star map. Destination, Kethris 4. Around him, people began to move. Doctors organized medical supplies. Engineers prepared the cargo holds. Teachers gathered the children to explain what was happening. Kenji's mother knelt down in front of him. Her eyes were wet. "Kenji, I need you to understand something. Where we are going, it might be dangerous. The Dominari might try to stop us." "I know," Kenji said. "Are you scared?" He thought about it. He thought about the insect children eating dirt. He thought about the woman who got back up after being hit. "Yes," he said, "but I would be more scared if we did not go." His mother hugged him. He felt her crying into his hair. Across the ship, similar scenes played out. Families gathered together. People made peace with choices that might cost them everything. Some wrote messages to loved ones back on Earth just in case. In the communications room, David watched the responses flood in. The colony ship Horizon had changed course. The freighter Pacific Dawn was coming. The medical vessel Hope's Light was already on its way. 17 ships, then 20, then 30. Most were unarmed. Many were carrying families. All of them were coming anyway. David opened a new channel. He recorded a message to Annie Webb. "Hold on, we are coming. However long it takes, however far we have to travel, we are coming. You are not alone. Those people are not alone, because we could never live with ourselves if we looked away." He sent the message and leaned back in his chair. Through the viewport, the stars streamed past as the Endurance accelerated toward destiny. In the ship's library, a young historian named Hannah Osai was reading something old. Very old. A Valorian data crystal recovered from a dead station decades ago. Most scholars considered it interesting but irrelevant. The Valorians had been gone for 2,000 years. But as Hannah read the words of Grandmother Ceres, she began to understand something. The old woman had seen this coming, all of it. There is nothing more dangerous in this universe than a human who has something to protect. Hannah looked up from her screen. Through the library window, she could see families moving through the corridor. Children laughing despite the danger ahead. Adults holding hands, drawing strength from each other. "You knew," she whispered to the long-dead Valorian. "You saw what we were, and you tried to warn them." She saved the file and went to join her crewmates. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. That was the human way. Admiral Vesk had conquered 11 worlds. He had burned cities, shattered armies, and broken the spirits of species far more powerful than these soft little humans. In 300 years of Dominari expansion, no enemy had ever made him hesitate. Until today. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Flame, staring at his tactical display with growing confusion. The human fleet had arrived at Kethris 3 days ago. 47 ships now orbited the mining colony. Medical supplies were being delivered to the surface. Food distribution centers had appeared overnight. The starving Kethrians were eating again. None of that bothered Admiral Vesk. Resources could be replaced. Workers could be recaptured. What bothered him was what the humans did when his fleet arrived. They did not run. 47 ships faced his 12 warships. The humans had almost no weapons. Their vessels were cargo haulers, passenger transports, colony ships. They carried farmers and teachers and children. And they would not move. "Admiral," his communications officer said, "the human vessel Endurance is hailing us." "Put it through." A human face appeared on the screen. Male, middle-aged, calm. "This is Captain David Tanaka of the colony ship Endurance. Admiral Vesk, I am asking you to withdraw your fleet and leave the Kethrian people in peace." Vesk laughed. "You are asking me? With what authority? You have no weapons, Captain. You have no fleet. You have nothing. We have ourselves, David said, and we are not leaving. Then you will die. David nodded slowly. Some of us will, probably most of us, but more will come. Admiral, I do not think you understand what is happening here. This is not a military operation. We are not soldiers. We are simply people who saw something wrong and could not look away. Foolishness. Perhaps, but it is who we are. The transmission ended. Admiral Vesk ordered his fleet into attack formation. As the Dominari warships spread out, the human vessels began to move. At first, Vesk thought they were finally retreating. Then he realized what they were doing. They were forming a wall. 47 ships arranged themselves in a living barrier between the Dominari fleet and Kethris 4. Colony ships full of families, medical vessels full of doctors, cargo haulers full of food meant for starving children. They were using themselves as shields. Fire warning shots, Vesk commanded. Energy beams lanced across the void. One struck a small transport ship. The vessel shuddered but held position. The human ships did not move. Vesk felt something cold settle in his stomach. This was wrong. No species behaved this way. Survival was the most basic instinct. Every creature in the galaxy would flee when faced with certain death. Admiral, his tactical officer said quietly, more contacts appearing at the edge of the system. Human signatures, 32 additional vessels. 79 human ships now, against 12 warships. Fire. On the lead vessel, Vesk ordered. The Eternal Flame opened fire. The colony ship Horizon took the full force of the barrage. It broke apart in seconds. Debris scattered across the void. 847 humans died in a flash of light. The other ships did not move. Admiral, incoming transmission from multiple human vessels. The same message repeated from dozens of sources. You can kill all of us. More will come. You cannot kill enough of us. We will never stop. Vesk stared at his display. The human ships had closed their formation around the gap left by the destroyed Horizon. They were tighter now, more determined. Fire again. 3 more ships fell. Thousands more humans died. The wall did not break. A new contact appeared on the sensors, then another, then dozens more. Admiral, I am tracking over 200 human vessels incoming. Most are unarmed civilian craft. They are coming from all over the sector. 200, 300, the numbers kept climbing. In the colony below, Kethrian children watched the sky. They saw the flashes of weapons fire. They saw the human ships dying. And they saw more ships arriving every hour, filling the darkness with lights. Annie Webb stood in the central square, holding a small Kethrian girl on her hip. The same child she had fed a nutrition bar a lifetime ago. Why do they keep coming? Mother Vess asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. They are dying for us. We are nothing to them. Annie watched another ship explode in the distant sky. She felt tears on her cheeks. You are not nothing, she said. You are people, that is all we need to know. On the bridge of the Eternal Flame, Admiral Vesk received a report that would change everything. Human ships were arriving from 12 different sectors. Word had spread across known space. Civilians were abandoning their lives, their jobs, their homes. They were flying unarmed vessels into a war zone to stand beside strangers. The tactical display showed over 400 human ships now. Most would die if Vesk continued the attack, but more would come, and more, and more. For the first time in 300 years, Admiral Vesk understood fear. Not fear of death, fear of something worse. Fear of an enemy that could not be defeated, not because they were strong, because they would never ever stop. He remembered the words of Grath, the commander who had started this mess. They are soft, they bleed easily. Grath was wrong. Everything the Dominari believed about strength and power was wrong. Admiral Vesk looked at his tactical display, at the wall of human ships waiting to die for people they had never met, and he saw the future. The Dominari could not win this war. No one could. Humanity had found them, and now everything would change. Lyra had been the council archivist for 900 years. She had seen species rise and fall. She had recorded treaties that changed the balance of power across 10,000 worlds. Nothing surprised her anymore. Until the humans came to Kethris 4. The Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the curved seats, and they were all shouting at once. Lyra watched from her position near the archives, her ancient form barely visible among the noise and fury. The Dominari ambassador, a massive reptilian named Krath, stood at the central platform. His voice boomed across the chamber. This is an act of aggression. The humans have interfered with Dominari sovereign operations. They must be punished. A human diplomat rose. His name was James Porter. He was small and quiet, the kind of man who usually went unnoticed in these gatherings. But today, everyone was watching him. "Aggression," James said softly. His voice barely carried above the noise, but something in his tone made the chamber fall silent. Admiral Vesk attacked unarmed civilian ships. He killed over 4,000 humans. Men, women, children. They were carrying food and medicine to starving people. They interfered with legal collection operations. Legal? James raised an eyebrow. You were taking food from children. You were selling families into labor camps. If that is legal under Dominari law, then your law is broken. Krath's scales flushed dark with anger. You cannot tell the Dominari Empire what laws to follow, human. You are nothing, a primitive species barely out of your own solar system. We are nothing, James agreed. We have no great fleet, we have no ancient empire, we have only ourselves, and yet here we are. Your admiral killed 4,000 of us. More ships arrived to take their place. You could kill us all, Ambassador, every human in the galaxy, and it would not matter, because the next generation would come for you, and the next, and the next. He stepped forward. We do not forget, we do not forgive cruelty. And we do not stop, ever. The chamber was completely silent. Lyra moved. Her ancient limbs carried her slowly to the central platform. She held something in her hands, a crystal sphere that glowed with soft blue light. I request permission to present evidence, she said. The council speaker nodded. The archivist is recognized. Lyra placed the crystal sphere on the display pedestal. Light bloomed from it, and a holographic image appeared. An old woman with gray skin and gentle eyes. This recording is 2,000 years old, Lyra said. It was made by grandmother series of the Valorian people on the day before they disappeared from history. The image spoke. Its voice was quiet but clear. I have come to warn you about the humans. Do not fear their weapons. They have none. Do not fear their ships. They cannot build them yet. Fear their hearts. Fear their stubborn refusal to accept cruelty. Fear what they will do for strangers they have never met simply because those strangers are suffering. The chamber watched in stunned silence. There is nothing more dangerous in this universe than a human who has something to protect. The recording continued. Images of ancient humans hunting together, building shelters, caring for their wounded. Images of a mother tracking a predator across frozen wastelands to avenge her child. Do not fear them, Grandmother Series said. Fear what they will do to anyone who threatens the innocent. Fear their compassion. Fear their beautiful, stubborn refusal to let cruelty stand. The image faded. The Kethrian ambassador stood. She was small, her wings still thin from the long starvation, but her voice was strong. The humans saved us. We are not their kind, we are not their species, we have nothing they want. And yet they came, they died for us. 4,000 of them, for strangers, for children they had never met. She looked around the chamber. In 10,000 years of galactic civilization, has any species done such a thing? Has anyone stood between the weak and the strong without expecting payment, without demanding alliance or territory or resources? Silence. The Valorians saw it coming. They tried to warn us, and we did not listen. James Porter spoke again. We are not asking for praise. We are not asking for recognition. We came to Kethris 4 because it was right, because we could not look away. That is all. He turned to the Dominari ambassador. This is your choice, Krath. You can continue this conflict. You can try to punish us for protecting innocent people. But understand what that means. Humans remember. We teach our children. 1,000 years from now, your great-grandchildren will still be dealing with the consequences of what you decide today. He smiled, and there was no warmth in it. Or you can walk away. Leave the Kethrians in peace. Pretend this never happened. We will not chase you. We will not seek revenge. We will simply wait and watch and be ready for the next time someone needs protection. The chamber held its breath. Krath looked at the recording of Grandmother's series. He looked at the quiet human diplomat. He looked at the Kethrian ambassador with her thin wings and strong voice. This is not over, he said. But everyone in the chamber heard what he did not say. It was over. The Dominari had lost something today that no fleet could reclaim. They had lost the belief that they could do whatever they wanted without consequences. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. 50 years had passed since the blockade of Kethris 4. The galaxy was different now. On 100 worlds, human volunteers worked beside species they had never met. They built hospitals and schools. They taught farming techniques and medical procedures. They asked for nothing in return except the right to help. The Dominari Empire had crumbled, not from military defeat. The humans never raised an army against them. The empire fell because no one was afraid anymore. Colonies stopped paying protection fees. Subject species stopped obeying. The reputation that had taken centuries to build dissolved in a single generation. Because of a handful of humans who refused to look away. On Kethris 4, a memorial stood in the central square. It was made of stone and metal, carved with the names of 4,217 humans who died in the blockade. Every morning, Kethrian children placed flowers at its base. They had learned a human word that had no translation in their language. Family. Grandmother Vess, who had once been Mother Vess, brought her great-grandchildren to the memorial every week. She was old now, her wings faded to silver, but her mind was sharp. Tell me again, the smallest child asked. Tell me about the woman. Vess smiled. Her name was Annie Webb. She came here to trade for minerals. She found our children starving, and she could not leave. Because she was brave. Because she loved us before she even knew us. That is what humans are. They love first and ask questions later. In the Council archives, Lyra added another entry to the historical record. The Valorian Prophecy, they called it now. Students from across the galaxy came to study Grandmother's series and her warning. The old woman saw it coming, Lyra told her visitors. 2,000 years before humanity left Earth, she understood what they would become. Not conquerors, not warriors, protectors. She tried to warn the galaxy. Why did no one listen? A young Dominari student asked. His generation had grown up in the shadow of the Empire's fall. They were trying to understand what had gone wrong. Because we measured strength in weapons and ships, Lyra said. We could not imagine that compassion could be more powerful than force. Grandmother Ceres knew better. She had watched humans for 10,000 years. She saw how they cared for each other. She saw what they would do for strangers. She activated the old recording one more time. Fear their compassion. Fear their stubborn, impossible, beautiful refusal to let cruelty stand. Fear how they will change you, because they will. They will make you believe that kindness is stronger than power, and once you believe that, you can never go back. The student watched in silence. She was right, he said finally, about everything. On Earth, an old woman sat in a garden watching the sunset. Annie Webb had lived a long life. She had seen things no human had seen before. She had stood between monsters and innocent children. She had bled for strangers. Her granddaughter sat beside her, a young woman now preparing to leave on her own journey to the stars. Were you scared, Grandma, when the Dominari came? Annie thought about it. 50 years of memory, the child eating dirt, the flash of weapons fire, the ships that kept coming, wave after wave, ordinary people choosing to die for people they had never met. Terrified, she said, but not of dying. I was scared we would not get there in time, that we would fail those children. But you did not fail. No, we did not, because we could not, because that is not who humans are. She took her granddaughter's hand. Remember that? When you are out there among the stars, you will see things that break your heart. You will meet people who are suffering. You will want to look away. Everyone wants to look away. She smiled. Do not look away. That is the only rule. Whatever else happens, do not look away. Stand up, show up, be there. Sometimes that is all we can do, and sometimes it is enough. The sun set on Earth. The stars emerged one by one, scattered across the darkness like promises waiting to be kept. Somewhere out there, 100 species slept peacefully. Children who had never known hunger, families who had never known fear, worlds that had never known tyranny. Because humans were watching over them. In the Council archives, the recording of Grandmother's series played on an endless loop. Visitors came from across the galaxy to hear her words. They brought their children. They brought their elders. They came to understand. They warned us, the inscription below the display read. We did not listen, and now it is too late to stop them, too late to change what they have become, too late for cruelty, too late for tyranny, too late for looking away. Humanity is here, and they love us. The recording ended with Grandmother Ceres smiling, her ancient face filled with something like hope. Do not fear them, thank them, for they will teach you what we forgot, that the universe is not cold, that kindness is not weakness, that love, strange and stubborn and impossible love, is the strongest force in creation. The humans are coming. They have always been coming. And nothing will ever be the same. In gardens and hospitals and schools across 1,000 worlds, humans worked beside species they had once never imagined. They laughed together, they cried together, they built something new. A galaxy that believed in kindness. Because someone had stood up. Because someone had refused to look away. Because humans loved. And that was always the warning.